Hey everyone, today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the Yeedi S14 Plus. Huge shout out to Yeedi for sending us the sample, but I want you to know that any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this product or you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. This model has a couple of key upgrades. They've bumped up the suction power to 18,000 pascals. They've added the Osmo roller mopping system, so it uses a roller mop system that gives you continuously clean water and effective scrubbing. It can also kick that out to clean along the sides and edges. Speaking of edge cleaning, the side cleaning brush can also extend and reach out into corners. So a lot of major changes and overhauls with this S14 Plus model. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and see what's inside. Here are all the contents. First, we'll start with this massive quick start guide, walking us through everything we need to know very quickly about our Yeedi S14 Plus. Then you'll find your typical product literature with a full user guide and manual, warranty information. We have our ramp with honeycomb design for the Omni Station, power cord and cable. It is a 90-degree power cord for those that are interested. We have our side cleaning brush right here. Then we have the vacuum and mop as well as the station. Let's look at those in more detail. Starting with the top of the vacuum, we got the Yeedi logo and branding on our removable cover, but I do not notice any magnets on this cover, which is really interesting. So it's kind of just very, loosely in place. We have our dustbin. See it from all different sides and angles with our filter and dustbin cleaning and washing instructions. And then we can get access to the filter right there. This whole thing actually comes out. So interesting design for that too. There's a look inside with it removed, on and off switch, Wi-Fi indicator light. We can actually pull back this grommet too to reveal some troubleshooting ports and things for customer service for those that are curious what's behind there. Now looking at the very front of the vacuum, this is where all the magic happens. They removed all of your LiDAR and all of your typical navigation up from the top. Now it's along the front and the sides of the front right here. It's their Avi 3D system here. Lenses, sensors, everything it needs to navigate right here. You can see the LiDAR spinning through there. Really unique. I can't wait to see this in action. Here's a look at the side. Here's your dust outlet. On the backside, charging contacts, water inlet. This tank's removable. I believe that's going to collect dirty water that you can empty. Here's a look at the side with our mopping system. This will extend out. Additional sensors there. And then we're back to the very front. Now looking at the very bottom, 2 spring-loaded drive wheels. This is where we can install the included side cleaning brush. It just snaps right in place and can kick out for cleaning. Omnidirectional wheel, multiple cliff sensors, main brush roller here. Can get a feel for that design, bristles and rubber agitators. And then here is our redesigned Osmo mopping system that I'm super excited about. We can pop this out if we want to remove the mop, and then it just slides right out.
Roller mop removed.
So you can see that roller mop from all different sides and angles, but this is a pretty substantial roller mop. Really neat. And then it just slides right back in place like so.
Roller mop installed.
And then we can snap that right back on. Onto the Omni Station, we have our dirty and clean water tanks with large grip handles to easily remove, exposing the station here with how the clean and dirty water moves throughout both containers. Here's your close-up of the clean water tank from all sides and angles here. And you'll notice on this side we have our max fill indicator line. Then we can just pop this open to reveal the inside here. Here's your close-up of the dirty water tank. See all different sides and angles. Same thing, pop this open to reveal the inside with our float system here letting us know when it's full. Here's your left side profile, right side profile, and again, that's the clean water tank so you can visually see how full it is. Here's the very bottom. This is the back side and the front side where the ramp's gonna clip in place. Here's a look at the very back. Here's the top, here's the bottom. Grip handle here, product info. This is a troubleshooting or customer service port. That's nothing you would use that I'm aware of. On and off switch and power plug right there. And looking at the very front, this is the top, this is the bottom, indicator light, Yeedi logo and branding, little arrow icon here, so we can actually pull to remove that cover. Just pops right out. On this side, we got our vacuum bag already installed, like so. And then we have an open slot on the other side. I'm guessing that's going to be for storage. Really interesting. Then it just snaps right shut. Down at the very bottom, this is where all the magic happens. So charging, washing, cleaning, drying, and self-emptying. There's a little sticker here. This tray is removable. So we can go ahead if we want and pop out the tray to easily wash and clean as needed. Setup simple and straightforward. You already saw us set up the robot vac here just by snapping on the side cleaning brush. That's it. For the OmniStation, we just need to snap this ramp in place on the unit. So just kind of press it in on both sides just like that. It'll snap right in. Now it's time to charge it up, set it up, and try it out. Really quickly, I wanted to show you a side-by-side comparison between a couple different models here to get a better feel for the size of our Yeedi compared to, let's say, the Dreamy X40 Ultra. So this vacuum just looks smaller to me because it's not as thick as our Yeedi vac is. But with that being said, when we go from the top of the module to the top of this vacuum, they're really just about the same height, maybe a smidge, like a millimeter or two up here at the top for this bumper versus if we're going off the cover. But surprisingly, they're going to be just about the same height, even though visually, at least to my eyes, this one looks substantially larger. But with the system that it has in place, without having LiDAR up at the top and now embedded basically to the front and the side, I would expect it to be on the shorter end due to our Roborock Crevo Slim that follows a same pattern here with their Star Sight system. So a little bit different here how they do it versus on the Yeedi. But again, they were able to shrink down their vacuum. This one's slimmer than the X40 that we just looked at. So those couple of centimeters, millimeters, you get the idea, but that difference in height right there could be the difference between getting under your chair or your dresser or not. But we got to give credit where credit is due, and with this advanced mopping system, you notice those other models had the rotary mops. The compromise might be that this unit will be a little bit thicker, but theoretically, we haven't used it yet, you should be getting better mopping performance, which we typically see with systems like this. Now back to cleaning. right, first cleans out of the way. Let's take a look at our real world results, starting with the top of the vacuum. Just your typical dust that you find accumulating. A couple of scrapes and scuffs on the cover. And then inside, we have our dustbin here, and take a look at that. It is jam-packed full of household debris. Let's look at that in more detail. It's really compacted in there. Here's your filter close up. This is going to be the mesh screen part of it. And then here's a look at the actual filter. We have some pet hair in the filter. A little bit of dust is coming out so far, but not bad. So I got a bead, some crumbs, food, human hair. Oh, we got a kid's toy here, a little horse. We'll keep that. Sticker, Cheerio. Just the typical stuff you'd expect to find around your house. And I do want to mention that I did notice that this was a little bit wet too. So keep that in mind. It's not going to be completely dry from the mopping feature, which is interesting. So you think there'd be a clear separation, but with it vacuuming and mopping at the same time, you can expect some wet debris to build up in here, which just makes it a little bit more difficult to clean up. So we have like a piece of cereal that's kind of stuck in there that got wet. But just wanted to point that out, that the dustbin is not completely dry, which is a bummer, but it does vacuum and mop, so that is fairly expected. I'd say we see it in a couple of vacuums. I wouldn't say it's common on everyone, so just something to keep in mind. Moving along to the side of the vacuum, nothing to notice or observe here. Everything looks fine. Just a little bit of dust accumulating on the sensor, so you can wipe that down occasionally. Looking at it underneath, I was expecting to see some hairs tangled on the side brush, so that's great to see that it's tangle-free so far. I'd expect some hair over time to accumulate here, and you can just cut it away. Looking at the main brush, I was expecting more hair on the main brush roller. I see one strand of human hair at the very center. So if you are going to get hair accumulating here with that comb, it's probably going to be at the side. We have some starting to collect on this side of it. So every once in a while you will want to maintain that to cut it away. It's not going to be completely hair-free or anything along those lines. And then looking at the mop roller here, so far so good. This is wet, so you can wipe that down and rinse this off every once in a while. And we do have some debris starting to build up there. And then we can just slide it out.
Roller mop removed.
And it looks really good. It looks brand new to me still. That's a testament again to just the ability for this to clean itself in real time. We have some hair down here on the inside with the mop removed. So every once in a while you want to take this out, just keep an eye on that and do just a little bit of maintenance there, wiping it down the best that you can. But so far, so good. And last but not least, here's a look at the washboard tray that's removable. A little bit of water still collected at the bottom here, but I can tell that it's evaporated a lot of it, and that will probably continue to evaporate depending on how often you use it. We have a couple of spots and streaks up here with a little bit of hair, but that looks really good, and it's super simple to remove. And then you can just rinse this down occasionally as well. It's really a clever design to have that removable tray so you don't get the yucky buildup that gets stuck there. There's no good way to clean it. This is super simple to maintain every once in a while. For those wondering about the mobile app, let me give you a brief overview. So here's a look at the Yeedi S14 Plus, where we can enter into the device. We can view our map. We can add multiple zones, so it supports up to 5 different cleaning zones. Or you can clean everywhere or choose to clean by room. At the bottom here, we have our cleaning settings. We can vacuum, vacuum and mop, or mop after vacuuming. We have our suction power settings, water flow adjustment. We have multiple cleaning speed options, basically like your standard, your deep, and then like your quick, fast clean. 1 or 2 cleaning passes. Here's our station controls. We can empty the dustbin, wash the mop, or dry the mop. And then right above the station tab, we have our map icon. We can select that. This is where we can edit our map. It supports up to 3 maps at one time, so you can add a new map. Then down at the bottom, we have multiple settings, so we can add virtual walls and barriers, whether it's no entry or no mopping. And again, choose a line or rectangular option, drag and drop, divide, combine rooms, add furniture, extend walls, change floor type, add thresholds, or delete an area. So very nice map features here. And in the top right-hand corner, you can rename, backup, restore, delete your map. And again, 3 maps at one time right there. Then in the top right-hand corner, we have our settings gear icon. We can view our cleaning log and see our cleaning history, set a schedule, choose a cleaning scenario. We have our maintenance here, so it lets us know when it's time to replace common parts and components. We have our robot advanced settings, so we can choose our cleaning sequence, auto resume, do not disturb, suction boost on carpet, clean carpet first. There's a lot of settings here. So we have our intelligent deep mopping, AVI 3D 3.0, which is basically turning on or off obstacle avoidance, adaptive edge cleaning, child lock. And then we have our station settings, auto empty, dust collection power, how powerful do you want the self empty to be, forced operation without water, eco standard deep, mop wash frequency, right? There's a lot that you can choose from here. Hot air drying duration, off peak charging. So there's a lot of customization here. And what's cool at the bottom, you can find the vacuum if it's missing around your house, and it gives you the option to manually release and retract the mop, which is cool. And then you can delete the vacuum from the app. So map controls and customization, robot controls and customization, and station controls and customization. So how does the Yeedi S14 Plus stack up against the competition? Let's find out. We'll be comparing it to our database of over 90 different robot vacuums that I've personally tested, and we'll see how it stacks up to the averages of that database to get a better feel for the value and price to performance ratio. I like to start off with cost, so we have that frame of reference and lens to look at everything else through. So looking at cost, this is going to be about twice as expensive as your average typical robot vacuum cleaner. So let's see what we get compared to that average robot vac. First up is max suction power, and this shatters the average by over 3 times the suction power versus your typical robot vacuum. But what's interesting is looking at max CFM, which is a measurement that we record in-house, you would expect it to be substantially greater. And don't get me wrong, it is above average, but not to the same ratio as the suction power is. Typically, the higher the better, the suction power and max CFM that we want to see, that indicates a good real-world carpet deep clean. And for that real-world test, the good news is we did get a fantastic score, 95 out of the best possible score of 100, which is going to be 8 points above average. And for all that suction power, you think this vacuum would be substantially louder, but that's not the case. This peaks at 77 decibels versus the average of 72. That's a 6 decibel difference. The lower this value, the quieter your vacuum will be. But if you have a 77 decibel vacuum vacuuming in the same room with a 72 decibel vacuum, and you're trying to tell the difference, it'd be pretty negligible. You wouldn't really be able to know because you're going to hear both vacuums, but it's not ear piercing or anything like that. Moving on to battery life, this is measured in minutes, 270-minute runtime compared to the average of 167, so pretty substantial difference there with this vacuum versus the competition. Next up is height. This vacuum comes in at 3.9 inches, which is 0.2 inches above the average, but there's a pretty key difference here. That average usually consists of vacuums that aren't the same height all the way around like this vacuum. They're usually a little bit smaller here and a little bit larger in one particular area where they have their navigation module. So although there's other LiDAR equipped modules out there on vacuums up at the top, they're actually going to be the same height as this vacuum. But the fact that this vacuum is the same height all the way around means this vacuum can't get under our kitchen cabinet toe kick like other LiDAR equipped vacuums with the module up at the top that can, because it's just one concentrated area here, which is far enough away from that overhang that the majority of the vacuum can get under to clean, whereas this one's the same height all the way around, which prohibits it from going under the cabinets. I hope that makes sense. If you couldn't tell already, this vacuum is equipped with self-empty, which we're seeing on 67% of vacuums that we test. For those curious about the dustbin capacity, this is measured in milliliters, 220 compared to the average of 415, but you need to know that it's kind of a moot point since this is a self-emptying vacuum. And non-self-emptying vacuums skew higher because they're incentivized to have a larger dustbin to prevent you from emptying it as often. You won't be emptying this dustbin, so it really doesn't matter. And just like self-empty, 67% of the vacuums that we test also have mopping capabilities in some capacity, but they're not usually as advanced as the mopping system found on this Yeedi vacuum with its advanced brush rolling system that cleans it in real time. It's definitely towards the top of the pack in regards to mopping performance and cleaning efficiency. And if you were curious, this is equipped with a 110 milliliter water tank internally. That's going to be substantially below average, but just like the dustbin capacity, it's a moot point because this vacuum can go back and refill itself as needed. So if you can't tell already, the vacuums that have the larger internal water tanks usually don't have the ability to refill themselves. So they're incentivized to have that larger tank capacity so you're not refilling it as often. And this is where we start to see more separation from your typical robot vac. They're not going to include hot water washing. This has hot water washing and it's above average from the vacuums that do. So pretty substantial boost in performance for hot water washing. 167 degrees Fahrenheit compared to the average of 154. It's great to see even on this mopping system, they support the ability to lift the mopping system up and out of the way when it encounters carpets, and they did it right at the average, which is even more impressive considering how thick this mop roller is compared to your typical mop pads that lift up. And they offer Mop Extend with this. So typically if we've seen this system, it's about 50-50 or less that they offer Mop Extend. I'm really impressed with how they're able to make that work on this unit. We're only seeing Mop Extend on 15% of the vacuums that we test. And it doesn't stop there. They also gave us side brush reach, and this works on carpets, not just hard floors. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Dreamy. So it's great to see that we have the side brush reach that can extend into corners for cleaning hard floors and carpets. Now, it hasn't appeared to have any issues in low light environments, but it is interesting that this vacuum doesn't have an LED light. We're seeing that in about 8% of models. And even more puzzling is the absence of live video monitoring, only because it appears it has a camera lens that could support that feature, especially because it's basically twin brother. The Ecovacs X8 Pro Omni does have live video monitoring, and it's got the same sensor suite, or at least it appears to have the same sensor suite that we have here. So it's almost like they've just chose to disable that from a software standpoint versus hardware standpoint. After further discussions with Yeedi, we confirm that while they use cameras for object recognition, they do not offer live video streaming due to privacy concerns, instead choosing to emphasize safety and privacy, as many families do not see video functionality as an essential need and feature. And for those interested in having its own dedicated voice assistant, that is not the case, but this still works with third-party voice assistants. All right, so where does that leave us in regards to the Yeedi S14 Plus? Let me share with you my final thoughts. You're buying this vacuum because of the mopping system. That's going to be the key takeaway here. If that style of system is what you're after with side brush reach and Mop Extend, well, look no further. This is going to be a solid choice for you. Now, with that being said, there are some things I want to see improved with the Yeedi S14 Plus, and they are as follows. First is going to be a pretty big miss on not giving us solution dispensing with this vacuum, because again, at the end of the day, you're buying this for the mopping system. So that feels like a pretty big miss to me, to not have a solution tank there and to allow it to handle all of that automatically, to continue to remove yourself from common maintenance and things you don't technically have to do, because the whole point of buying something like this is to automate your chores and cleaning. And also because its twin brother, the Ecovacs X8 Pro Omni, does have the solution tank. Next is going to be no mopping mode. Maybe that's just me and my own pet peeve, but it's really strange that we can't just do vacuum only, vacuum and mop, or, mop after vacuuming. I really want a mop only mode on this. And again, this next one could just be me too, depending on the size of your kitchen cabinets, but this is a little bit too large to get under the toe kicks and clean up close to the base of my kitchen cabinets, which is a bummer. It's like literally just a couple of millimeters off. No video monitoring also feels like a miss, because again, the X8 Pro Omni does offer that, and at the time of this video, the X8 Pro Omni is only $100 more, so it doesn't seem like there's enough separation from the value that Yeedi's supposed to offer compared to Ecovacs, when it's just a difference of $100 to unlock a lot of great features. And then lastly, while it's not terrible by any means, I'd like to see improvement in the obstacle avoidance in future models. That's about the same as what we've seen from Yeedi and Ecovacs for that matter. It's not the best of the best. It's definitely not worst. I would say it's just right about average with what we're seeing today in vacuums at this price point. It's going to be on par, closer to Roborock than it is to Dreamy or Narwhal. So there you have it. Let me know what you think about the Yeedi S14 Plus.